DIY or Die, Walker Vapor Group LLC, or any of its associates do not condone nor encourage the use of nicotine, vapor products, or any mood-altering substances without the explicit consent of a physician. The content viewable on this channel is strictly for entertainment purposes only and not meant to be seen as informational or educational. Must be 21 years or older to view these materials.
Silky beat. Hello, welcome everybody to another glorious episode of the MIXINVIXENS. My name is Emily, also known as mlNikon. As you can see, we've got a lot of people introduced here. Let's start with the Vixens. Hi, Rin. How are you doing today?
Hi. All right.
Hi.
Sassy Pressy today, Rin. I love it.
Look at her looking all Valentine-y and stuff. Hi, Jennifer, TheJuiceFairy. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for asking. And the boys are here. We've got some guest judges. First of all, our full-time judge every day, Sam. How you doing, Sam?
What up, ladies? Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day to you too.
Thank you.
Ooh, I
And
forgot.
we've got Fresh back on the show. Hi, Fresh. Thanks for being here again.
What is happening? Pleasure. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hello. And we have a new guest judge, Foment Live. Hi, Foment. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you guys?
We're doing good. How's everyone's weekend? Any big plans for Valentine's Day?
Probably a slab of lasagna.
Nice.
We're stuck inside because of the snow. So
And we're stuck inside. North Carolina's been raining for 5 days straight, so it's a muddy mess out there. So we're staying in.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm actually going out tonight on a date, a double date with some friends. First time I've been on a date with my wife in like months. It's probably been 4 or 5 months at least.
Well, that's great.
I'm super excited. It's a new, not new, but new to us, local restaurant, little hole in the wall place that we've been wanting to try for a while. So
Yeah, I would say that my Valentine's would consist of us getting naked after the show, but it's too fucking cold, so that's not happening either.
see, that's when you need a heated mattress pad.
And that would be way too easy. I wouldn't have as much of a good excuse. My husband says I go to bed with a full body armor because I put on my pajamas and sweatpants. I mean, I'm wearing socks. There's not a piece of me that's not covered up when I go to bed because he likes it cold. And,
Hey,
I
he
like
must
it warm.
crank that thermostat down at nighttime.
He's a dumbass, right? If he was smart, he'd make it nice and toasty in the house. He's in the living room. He says, I hear you, motherfucker. Sorry, me and my potty mouth.
That's funny.
That's funny. All right, so as you guys can see, this is the peer review show. So we called the guys in to mix. We let them choose one of the 4 mixes that we mixed up, and they can kind of critique it and give us some pointers or tell us what they thought. So, what did you guys enjoy the mixes? And
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a pleasure when I get to mix you guys' stuff. So yeah, whenever you guys give me the call, I'm always
It
pretty
gives you
darn
something
psyched.
different to vape that you didn't have to create
yeah.
yourself.
yeah, that's always
exactly.
good.
That and four really, really good mixers. I mean, that doesn't hurt anything either. So
Well, we don't have
We're so
Lumi in her.
different.
Oh, sorry.
We're so different in our mixing styles too, right?
You're
yeah.
all so different in your mixing styles. Yeah. It's crazy.
I didn't watch the show where I heard that they were all ragging on me for being so old school with my mixes, but I was told I needed to watch it. And you know who told me? Drew from Bull City. He said you need to go watch that show so you can give them hell.
That's funny.
I actually enjoyed the old school twist every once in a while. You know, run it back to like 2016, 2017 style mixing, and you know, there's some really cool combinations you come up with. So I say just keep doing you.
Hey, don't fix what's not broken, right?
Exactly.
Lots of new mixers that need to see that anyways. So
Yeah. And
People
some of those old tricks and hacks, they still hold up. So
They do.
for sure. Well, we don't have Lumi here with her little hat of randoms. So
Yeah.
why don't we just I don't know, just pick who goes first. Why don't we go over my recipes first?
Okay.
Good.
I'll go first. I don't mind.
All right.
I did Emily's Rolo with M&Ms.
Oh,
so
me
did
too.
I. So
No way.
right.
Yeah. So I really liked that I was able to taste both the chocolates in the recipe. That was kind of a surprise. I didn't think I was going to get both of them. I thought they were just going to kind of blend, but I think it was the Oba Oba in it. I was actually able to pick out both of the Rolo style chocolate and the M&M style chocolate. So I was actually really pleased with that. For the only real criticism I have, if you wanted to stay truer to the profile, the Milky Caramel Fudge by SSA might not have been the best caramel to really stay true to what a Rolo is. Rolos are, they're not very decadent caramel. They're just kind of a light, chewy caramel.
Mhm.
So the only thing that I would, if you were staying truer to the profile, that would be the one thing I would have changed out, was the Milky Caramel Fudge for something like Cafe Caramel Candy or something like
Yeah,
that.
I think if I wanted to be like truly authentic to the profile, I probably should have used something like Wonder Flavors caramel butter.
Yeah.
Or or something like that that's lighter.
Mhm.
But I didn't really care. Sometimes
Yeah.
flavor trumps authenticity. And
Exactly.
and so I wasn't really trying to go for it. I just wanted I love caramel vapes, and so I just really wanted something.
Yeah, that was actually the flip side of what I was just going to say, is that this turned out to be a way better vape than what the profile picture was. So the criticism that I have, you can just chuck it out the window. Because staying close to the profile didn't really do the vape justice. This vape is actually, it's just absolutely delicious. You don't get, people struggle with chocolate sometimes, and I think I'll probably point them to this recipe and say this is kind of how you do chocolate right. It turned out absolutely lovely. This turned out way better of a vape than what that profile picture was. So like I said, you can take my criticism that if you wanted to stay closer to the profile, just take that and throw it out the window and go with what you did, because what you did turned out absolutely delicious.
That is thank you.
Who cares what we think?
Yeah, but like I was saying, that Oba Oba, I mean, I'm not really sure how else you go M&M shell and take an Oba Oba into a recipe.
Mhm.
It turned out marvelous. So I'm a big fan of this recipe. I really like what you did. I think you did chocolates right. I think you made the right choice as far as the caramel goes, because it turned out absolutely wonderful. You get your nice melty caramel, you get your two kinds of chocolate flavors going. Yeah, marvelous.
Thank you. Yeah, I really love how Oba Oba like creates, I don't know how it does it, but it does create that separation, and
Yeah.
so it's it does kind of have like that hard shell in between the two.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. Thank
For
you.
me-
Thank you for the mix, and yeah, ingenious.
I'm glad you liked it.
Mhm.
I thought it was really good. For me, the Oba Oba did sit on the outside of the chocolates. So I just got a really good Rolo. I wouldn't quite have said that I got the M&M on top of a Rolo, but
I'm right in the same boat there.
that's hard. Friction's got such a refined palate, or not Friction, Fresh has such a refined palate. That must be how he got it. But yeah, and then I thought the caramels, kind of in line with what Fresh said. They were really good, but I didn't get a whole lot of separation between the chocolate and the caramel. It was just like a really good caramely chocolate. So yeah, I liked it a lot. It was really good. I vaped quite a bit of it. So.
Good.
Yeah, I have every intention of finishing what I mixed up, possibly mixing some more. The the Oba Oba for me didn't really create the separation that Fresh was talking about. And it's not really a bad thing. Like I got an awesome like boutique version of what a Rolo should be if it weren't mass produced crap candy.
Nice.
Like the only thing I would really do to it, maybe to push the candy aspect a little bit further, would be like the smallest amount of sweetener it could bear to really push the chocolate forward. That's really more because the VTA chocolate mousse is kind of a dark chocolate to really push that milkier chocolate forward. But I
Yeah,
was
good
surprised.
call.
I know Glamour chocolate does, carries like a little bit of hazelnut kind of thing to it, and it didn't really touch this. So there wasn't like a nuttiness or anything like that really hitting it. It was just a really nice rich caramel followed by a really well balanced but slightly dark chocolate.
Yeah, that's a good call. And most of the time, chocolates do need like a sweetener to push it forward. I'm not sure why I didn't use it in this mix this time. 'Cause normally I do that, but yeah, because they definitely benefit from a sweetener to kind of put them in the forefront of the palette.
Yeah,
You
I mean,
know what actually
I
might
certainly
separate-
like it. I certainly like it as something that you can do discretionary, like as a discretionary thing,
Yeah.
leaving it out of the recipe and just leaving it as a note. But it certainly doesn't need it to be really tasty. I think it's just like that one thing that might push it over the hump to being like a perfect boutique chocolate for me.
Yeah, to me, sweetener's like salt, it's like add it if you want it, add as much as you want, like it's kind of discretionary, like you said.
I was thinking maybe that like a really good sweetener for this might be that SSA vanilla sugar.
Oh, yeah.
That vanilla might punctuate the two different chocolates a little bit and maybe separate them a little bit more for
Yeah, I
people.
think it might help be like an Oba booster.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call, Fresh. I like that idea.
I've got it sitting at 10 days and I just dripped it again, and that caramel punches through a lot more than it did a few days ago.
Yeah, that SSA, it just gets better and better like the longer you let it sit. That's my new favorite caramel now.
And so
So
it's
I'll-
more of a, after 10 days now that I just hit it again, it's more of a bite of caramel with a thin chocolate covering on the outside.
Yeah, the caramel's definitely coming through first.
It's good. It's very good.
Awesome. I'm glad you boys liked it. Thank you so much.
Woo!
All right. Let's go Rin next.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Well, I did Ren's berry cake.
So did I.
Okay.
Anytime I see Wonder Flavors strawberry cheesecake, I'm gonna make a run at whatever the recipe is probably. So
Yeah. I mixed it up too.
yeah, it's really, really, really good. I love the creamy bakery contrast. Not a lot of people do that. It's really, really, really nice. You get that nice milkiness from the flavor of cream, which kind of in line with Sam's trick, that sweet yogurt. So it's really, you get that really nice milky contrast there on the cheesecake. The jammy berry needed a couple days to calm down, as it always does, because it can be a little throaty right at first. But then once it calms down, you get that nice berry contrast with that really nice sweet bright strawberry with the darker jammy berry. Really, really, really dug this one. What else did I have to say about it? The flavor of cream works well to pop the cheesecake, and then you still get that crispy edge from the Mullenberry classic sponge cake. So you get that really nice contrast between a cheesecake and a bakery. That really nice dark vanilla that they've got going in the Mullenberry. Really nice choices on the flavors. I was a huge fan of this one. The 30 mil disappeared.
Yeah, it keeps it from kind of like turning into a mush like a lot of times cream and cake does,
Yeah, it was really nice. So you get that kind of crispiness with that cheesecake layer going. It was marvelous. This was marvelous, Ren. Yeah, really, really, really nice. Really, really nice mix.
I wish I doubled this one. It was a little light for me. But it did get the berry come through. It was a nice creamy berry. I think I lost the mullenberry, the sponge cake in there a little bit. But like I said, I was just looking at it. If I had doubled it, I'm sure I would have been fine and gotten all of that. But I did get a really nice creamy, with the jammy berry being the only berry note in there. I think it worked really well. I think, like I said, I think it's just with my palate, I should have doubled this recipe. But yeah, I need to be a little bit more on that.
You just need to smarten up that dumb palate of yours.
Well,
man.
it's like then I'm like, I don't want to mess with her recipe and just mix it the way she did it. Sometimes I'm surprised, but this is one where I think, I don't know, with all those, I don't get a whole lot off the strawberry cheesecake at 1%. Yeah, it was good. And
Are you strawberry blind?
no,
Interesting.
I guess yeah, I guess
Because
Jamie Berry-
at 1%, normally that's enough. But I mean, I've been mixing Rin stuff for years. So I'm kind of used to it. I've only had to double her stuff recently, and that was quite a while ago.
Well, you know what they say, the longer you mix, the more you taste everything.
Yeah,
And that's even in food.
Mhm.
yeah, I haven't messed around a whole lot with that classic sponge cake. I just got it not that long ago, so that could be part of the reason too. But it was good. It was just a little light for me. I should have bumped it up, but otherwise it was good. Creamy. It was creamy.
So I ended up mixing up the mixed drink. I was between mixing those two. I'm kind of glad I chose to, not make it 3 for 3 on 2 recipes in a row, I guess. But I was really, really surprised with 1 total % flavor that I got as much out of it as I did. Like I'm familiar with the Wonder Flavors bourbon, and I'm familiar with the citrus soda, and I didn't think the effervescence of the citrus soda was really gonna peak through the way it did at 0.4%. And the amaretto sour was new to me, so that was something I was really interested to see how it played up. And it, to me, it kind of read like a really upscale version of like a 7 and 7. Like you used entirely too good of a whiskey for a mixed drink. Because it's the Wonder Flavors bourbon to me reads like Irish whiskey, like a really smooth, good Irish whiskey, like Redbreast. And it's bonkers to me how at 1% this recipe actually comes through as cleanly as it does, and it's really, really good.
Rin, did you look at the percentages and like try to make it just 1%, or does that just happen to come out that way?
I am kind of a weirdo. I like round numbers. So
You're the anti-Lumi.
yes, and it drives me nuts. It's like my nemesis. I hate it.
Yeah.
It is weird, but I don't always intentionally go for like 1%, but like I do try to make it like somewhat rounded if I can.
I do the same thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I try.
I didn't want the bourbon to be like too strong. The nice thing about the Wonder Flavors is it's like he said, smooth. Because I did one with Flavoras, and Flavora is pretty punchy. So I'm like, we're not going to use that. Because if I'm going to have a drink, I want it to be like a mixed drink. I want it to taste good. I don't want it to be like, if I want it to be alcohol heavy, I'll just have a shot and then chase it with something. So I wanted it to taste nice, especially with vaping. I don't like vaping alcohol to begin with. So I wanted it to be something that was pleasant.
Yeah, I actually really like alcohol vape, so I was really excited to see where this went. And it went like everywhere I needed to go except for that little alcohol burn. But it's true to form for a lot of sweeter mixed drinks that you kind of let that fall off anyway. So like I said, like it really reads to me like Redbreast and 7 Up with like maybe a twist of real lemon juice. And it's just really good. Nothing to complain about at all. Other than that, apparently I use my flavors way too high, because you can do this with 1%.
You know, it's crazy. Like you
So
look
you're
at a
wasting
recipe.
flavors. See how much you can save?
Well, it's crazy because you look at a recipe, and especially if you've been mixing for a while, and you think in your head, you know that this is not going to work out. So, for instance, like looking at a Rin recipe and it's 1%, you're like, no, I'm going to have to double everything like she recommends some people do. But then or you look at like Jennifer's recipes with like 8, 9, 10 flavors, and you're thinking, oh, this is going to be all mush. This is not going to be good. But I mix them anyway, just as they are. And I am blown away every time. And well, not every time, but like 90% of the time when it comes to these two women anyway, that I'm like, and it kind of pisses me off. It's like, gosh dang it, how the heck did she get so much flavor out of such little, small percentages? Or how did she get so much, layered flavor out of all these flavors and it's not mush? Like, it's like I'm always in awe of like your guys' mixing skills, because you're just so unorthodox in the way that you mix. But yet
I sometimes overcomplicate things. I do know that. But then by the time I'm done mixing it and then I think of what I could have used instead because of what the final flavor is, I'm like, oh well, it is what it is. I went with what I know.
Right. Once you know it works, it's kind of hard to sit there and go, no, you know what? I'm going to completely retool it to simplify. No, it works. I'm done.
Something different. You should best to just start from the beginning, right? Because once something works, you're like, why fix what's not broken? Like, I'm not going to mess with this. This is tasty.
Yeah. You guys only give yourselves a week too. I mean, that's doing anything like that in a week is pretty impressive without. Yeah, you pretty much nail it on your first try, because if you don't, then you got to sit and wait for it to steep and you're never going to know. And then, so doing it.
Well, that's the beauty of mixing for a while, is that you can taste it and tell about where it's going to steep. And right after you mix it, you can say, I need to tweak this and make another one, and then hope for the best. One of them should work, but you won't know until it steeps. But you can kind of tell when you first start vaping it right off the bat, which of those flavors you think is going to continue to grow and which ones are going to fall back, because you kind of know your flavors, but that still doesn't say that it's going to work out exactly that way once it does steep, but it gives us an idea, and we can make another one to adjust.
That's got to be one of the hardest parts with that kind of quick turnaround is really being forced to know what you're working with ahead of time. You don't have a whole lot of room, or I don't feel like I would have a lot of room to experiment with stuff I don't know well already. I feel like I'd end up going back to stuff I know pretty well before I ever ventured out into
that. Is very true, and that's a very accurate statement. It's specifically for me and my mixing style. It's just a lot easier when I'm pumping them out like that to just go with what I know works than to try to guess, because sometimes we don't, if it's a new flavor, you don't even know what it's going to do with steep.
I find with these mixes, like if I am going to try something new, or like, because I'm like a batch test, like I'm a batch mixer, so I'll do several versions in one batch. But if I want to place with a new flavor, or I want to do something new, I'll just do one new flavor and have everything else be something I'm very comfortable with. And I know pretty much how it's going to steep out, or how it's going to react with the other flavors. That way, if something goes wonky, I know, okay, it's this new flavor and this is how it reacts,
And we do make crap sometimes. I mean,
sometimes
definitely. It's going to be good, and at the end of the week, we're like,
Yeah, but we're like, we're pooped, right? We're like, well, it's time. So yes, and that's when normally I try to be as forefront as I can. Like, okay, guys, like this isn't the best. This is what I have, though. So here you go.
I've been playing along for like, I don't know, a year and a half, 2 years or something like that. There's been plenty of weeks where I'm like, fuck, it's Saturday. I need to mix this and try it. Or where I've even like, you've called me out on it too, where I've posted theories. I get it. Yeah. Good on you guys.
Awesome. All right.
And we'll leave Lumi for last since she's not here.
All right. Okay. Jen's now.
Right, so I did your donuts and cream, Jen.
Very nice.
So I really enjoyed the cream cheese on this. I didn't think I was going to because I'm not the biggest fan of Flavor West cheesecake, but it actually really worked. It worked well with the profile, just that little bit of extra sweetness that comes along with it. So I really enjoyed that nice combination that you came up with. I thought the adding the ripe coconut was pretty clever move. Adding that little bit, that hint of coconut way in the back, but you do get a little bit of extra mouthfeel and some extra moisturization to the vape. So I really enjoyed that nice little trick. The only real thing that I was kind of questioning was the use of the cap glaze versus the Wonder Flavors glaze, but I get why you wouldn't do it, because that Wonder Flavors glaze does have that extra little bit of yeast to it, where the cap doesn't really have that, and you have to kind of deal with the Play-Doh for a couple days, but once it steeps out, it's
Right.
it's nice enough
And I
flavor.
said that when on that show, I was aware of the possibility of the Play-Doh taste and other people tasting it, and I knew to make sure I made comments that it needed to steep. I was really torn. That recipe was probably one that I knew was going to work, but I wasn't sure it was that good for everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, it was. I really enjoyed it. You did come up with a really nice cream cheese icing. Everything kind of worked. The coconut was up just a little bit for a couple days, but then once everything settled down, everything just kind of settled into a nice glazed donut with the cream cheese icing. So yeah, there's another 30 mil that I burned through. It was. I enjoyed it a lot. So, thank you.
Cool. I was worried about that when you said that one. I was like, uh-oh. That's
No,
that had cap donut in it.
No, I mean, I get it. You know, I mean, if someone else was mixing this up, they could totally make the choice to use Wonder Flavors glaze and cut the steep time off of it. That would be the choice. That's what you get.
Trade-off.
You get your trade-off. Either you add yeast to the mix, which some people might not like a yeasty donut, or you have to deal with Play-Doh for a couple days and wait for everything to steep out. So you've got your toss-up. You know, which way do you go? Do you go with the old school or do you go with the newer one? And that's completely up to the person that's mixing it. You know, that's the great thing about DIY. You're able to make all those choices. You know, if you don't mind the yeast and you want to taste this faster, use Wonder Flavors glazed donut. If you want to taste what the mixer intended from the start, which is a non-yeasty glazed donut, boom, there you go. It's easy. It's an easy enough, you know. If I was making it, I probably would have gone with the Wonder Flavors, but I completely understand why you went with the cap. So yeah, like I said, I burned through the 30 mil. It was a delicious donut.
I did your Friday night chocolate.
Oh, me too.
Oh, very nice.
Oh, all right. Now here we go.
So, I like this a lot. So the use of chocolate Deutsch, the Flavora as your only chocolate note really worked. It comes through. It's a nice strong chocolate, but pairing that up with the FA cookie, I thought made almost like a chocolate cookie. And then you got the RY4 double in there, which adds a little bit of the caramel and vanilla. It was almost like a really soft cakey cookie, chocolate cookie with a little bit of caramel, and dad shoved a cigarette in there or something like that. I don't know. Like smoked a cigarette and then ate this cookie, or your dad dropped his cigarette ashes. I don't know. Not ashes, but it's got a really good tobacco note to it. I don't quite describe it as other than like maybe you're smoking a cigarette or something and you're eating this cookie at the same time.
Eating it while you're smoking it. Sure.
Yeah. But it was really good. I really like it a lot. Getting quite a bit of nuance off of it. The tobacco
doesn't have a lot of tobacco notes, so I was playing it safe with that, but at the same time bringing a little bit of tobacco to the mix.
It's not. I guess Emily would probably like. I feel like Emily could enjoy this one.
No.
It's a very dessert tobacco. It's very much.
I would say like the level of tobacco falls in right around. Honestly, the whole recipe falls in pretty similar to Effie Captain or Super Concentrates Old Captain. It's the same flavor with two different names because reasons, but it's a really, really chocolatey, mild tobacco, and it's really, really nice for something desserty like this. And this like keying in on this, it reminded me of that straight away. The little tiny bit of desert ship does kind of add not an astringency, but it does dry it up just a touch.
Got that desert ship brings a tiny little bit of like it reminds me of Kineko soy almost. It's like a peanut oil almost, and I kind of get that in this at the same time from the desert
It's
ship.
got a nutty, spicy note to it.
Yeah.
And I think that plays well against the red burley. The red burley with both the chocolate and the nutty notes kind of plays off both of the chocolate Deutsch and the desert ship really nicely. The cookies not making it overly dry. I was concerned because I didn't really give this too terrible long to steep when I saw the RY4 double. I thought this was going to be like a week minimum before it was going to be tolerable, and 3-4 days in, it's still really good.
Yeah, I got it at 10 days too, and I just had to squeeze out the last bit of the bottle to try and get another quick refresher.
I know it's
Yes,
so sad when you reach the end of like a really good mix and you're like this
that
is
enough?
squeezing it,
Enough
trying
for two,
to get
I hope. But
Yeah, I'm sort of regretting only nicking mine up to 3 milligram because I would actually really like to set this up for one of my my mouth to lung setups.
you're just gonna have to mix it again.
I
you know,
mean,
stronger.
I
the only
probably will.
critique I would have to say is I probably would have leaned into the cookie maybe a little bit more. But it's
See, now you're
just
messing
that-
with my mixing stuff.
that's in my
If I leaned
opinion.
into
See,
the
exactly.
cookie- If I leaned into the cookie, it would have had too much sweetener in it, and then my tobacco would have fallen back. Then I would have had to push the tobacco forward,
Yeah.
and then the mix would have ended up too high of a
This
percent.
is one of those situations where I was like, I kind of wish it was a little bit more cookie forward, but at the same time, I know it's just so perfectly balanced that I wouldn't want to fuck with it. So, yeah, you're right.
My tobacco balance is my jam. You know what I
Good.
mean? I if I'm gonna
Don't mess with tobaccos.
No, and it's a
if I'm gonna
great chocolate.
flavor a tobacco, I've got to be able to taste the tobacco and the flavor without one being too far forward from the other.
That makes sense. That makes perfect sense. And I think you picked the right chocolate to balance to pair with the
Really
cookie.
good with beer, guys.
I bet. I was actually, I know, because I was doing it the other night. So yeah, it is.
It's really good with beer.
No, it's a, and I've been trying to work on something kind of similar, different cookie, different notes and stuff, but like a cookie tobacco type vibe. And this did a really good job, and I might steal from you a little bit.
Yeah, this actually came at like a perfect time for me because I had just taken a break from mixing tobaccos myself. So I think like every 2 weeks I've started up a new tobacco experiment, and like 2-3 weeks ago, nope, done. Like just gonna take a little bit of time off from it, and this came at like just the right time. I said, no, you're not actually gonna take a break.
Max has a question for Foment. He wants to know your opinions on Kentucky. I'm assuming KNT. KNT? What
Kentucky
is that?
tobacco. I'm
Yeah.
not super familiar with it.
Either Kentucky bourbon or Kentucky tobacco.
Why would he acronym it like that?
What's
I think that's a
KNT, Max?
flavor.
Yeah.
I think that's a flavor.
Something net tobacco?
Oh,
Google.
I think it's Flavor Express KNT. No, I haven't touched it.
Okay.
Okay.
I haven't either.
Awesome. All right, so I guess last but not least is Lumia. Unfortunately, she's not here, but you guys still would love to know what you mixed up and what you thought of her mixes.
So I did the tea time. Not sure if anybody else
Same.
did that. Did the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, you did the lady fingers?
Did. Go for it. Guys.
Okay. So I thought it was a nice sweet berry kind of darkish raspberry tea. It's pretty straightforward. There's not a whole lot to pick apart on it. It's a straightforward kind of shake and vape type vibe. I thought the blend of the teas was a pretty nice one. I thought she got relatively close to like an Arizona type thing. I think that's what she was going for. But the boysenberry raspberry was able to darken the razzleberry up just a little bit right off the bat without getting too Robitussin-y. So I thought you did a pretty good job on that. The only real thing I thought could really go well with it is if she had used something like a nice black tea to kind of really strengthen things up on the tea side, and kind of push the berry back a little bit, just because the boysenberry raspberry kind of brought things a little bit further forward than if you were going for like a straight like Arizona type berry tea.
I think if you were going after the Snapple raspberry tea, this is almost a dead ringer for it. It's like you used almost a too nice of a tea for it, but not quite. Like it's still definitely got that 4C powdered tea mix kind of vibe.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's almost like you made like a half gallon of that and a half gallon of sun tea, and then just combine the two. And it's fine. Like nobody will notice. And
yeah,
exactly.
It's
not a bad thing.
Kind of like if she'd grabbed something a little harsher, like
I think FA black teas usually.
Yeah, FA black tea would be nice. Would be nice there, and just kind of went Lipton as hell.
Yeah,
it probably would have been a little bit closer to what the intended profile, but it's a good enough mix. And like I said, it's shake and vape, straightforward to the point. Nothing to really complain about.
Yeah, I thought it was going to end up leaning like kind of goofy candy-ish with the raspberry and the boysenberry raspberries. It's the berry's going to be too dark, and it's Flavor West berries have a tendency to read candy-ish.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of expected it to read like too fakey, but it didn't. Like I kind of thought it was going to be like a raspberry candy dissolved in tea, less than it was. It was much closer to like the Snapple bottled raspberry tea. It's not my favorite, but it's a solid mix. It's definitely well represented.
Yeah, that Wonder Flavors boysenberry raspberry is good at doing stuff like that. So
yeah, it gives
anybody's looking for a slick trick. There you go.
That Wonder Flavors sweet tea is really good.
It is.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you used it in like an Arnold Palmer mix, and it was so good. Spot on. All right, so I did her ladyfingers, if you guys are good, which was. So she used Wonder Flavors Angel Cake, VSO Blackberry, VSO Blueberry, Wonder Flavors Boysenberry, Raspberry, Wonder Flavors Fluffy White Cake, a little bit of Flavora Graham Cracker, Vanilla Custard Cheesecake 1-on-1, and Whipped Cream 1-on-1. I liked this quite a bit. It didn't scream ladyfingers at me. Well, it was a very good berry mix with the blueberry, the blackberry, and the boysenberry raspberry. I liked that a lot. It was a nice dark, almost natural huckleberry, maybe like a dark blueberry, like a really dark blueberry. The blackberry darkened it up quite a bit, with a nice soft cakey back with you can get a little bit of that graham cracker in there, added a little bit of darkness to it, and I thought it worked really well. The custard cheesecake didn't scream out at me that there was like cream cheese in it or anything like that, but it was nice and creamy. It definitely had that going for it, and I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Awesome. Very cool. You know, the blueberry VSO I have, which is really good. It's like one of my favorite blueberries. The blackberry I haven't tried. Is it?
It's
I know
so
a lot
good.
of. Sorry.
It's so good.
A lot of the blackberry flavors that are on the market are just too candied.
No,
But
not a candy.
yeah,
So
this
there's-
one's more real, right? Like it's
You don't
more
get any
authentic.
perfume. It's like a natural blackberry.
Yeah. Kind of tastes like somebody just kind of took a blackberry and just kind of smashed it, and then
Awesome.
yeah, it's a really, really nice blackberry. You get that
That's
you get that nice tart. You get that nice tart and sweet. Yeah, it's a good one.
Like I love Flavor West blackberry and even SC blackberry. They're really good, but they're really good candy blackberries, you know. And so I'm excited to try the VSO blackberry because I want a real natural tasting blackberry. So
really good. My eyes were like when I first tried it. They went huge. It was very impressed with that flavor.
very cool.
It does good things.
Awesome.
I liked what the graham cracker did in her mix there. It really, the Flavora graham cracker to the cake.
Yeah, I like it. You know, I forget to use it sometimes, but I really like Flavora graham cracker just because it's like it's got like that snap, like that graininess, but it's not as like heavy as like Flavor West. You know, like it's
I like that it leans. I like that it leans towards vanilla wafer quite a bit. So I've always really enjoyed that about the Flavor graham cracker. It fades quite a bit, so you really have to kind of go strong in the paint with it right at the start. But once like 48 hours goes by, it kind of settles in where it's going to be, and it's a really really lovely flavor.
Yeah, I would need to mix with it more because Flavor West is usually this is a graham cracker. That's the one I want. But it was good. Good job, guys. Very impressed this month. Woo!
awesome.
Yeah,
Thank
there
you, guys.
there really wasn't a bad mix in anything that I did.
No.
So I was
Yeah.
really pleased.
You
Really,
know,
really pleased. But I mean, I don't know the last time I came on the Vixens and really ragged on somebody. Actually, I do remember because I came to a show and it was me and Concrete River, and it was right when I was first moving to Spokane. So I was over here like in an Airbnb, and Jen had done something, and I really started ragging on it. And then the more I talked to myself about it, I was like, all right, I kind of get what she's doing. Son of a.
It's all right. I mean, constructive criticism, we all grow with it. I was just super surprised that I had 2 people that mix my tobacco, because I threw that in there and everybody turned their nose up at it when I threw it in the mix, because that was supposed to be the chocolate
Yeah,
caramel.
it didn't. I was a little confused when I was looking at the recipes. I was like, is this from the one last time? Because this isn't the pic.
No.
Oh,
When I
it
saw
is.
the
Okay.
picture, I was inspired. I
Yeah.
do not like chocolate mixes.
Yeah.
And the only way I like chocolate mixes are in tobacco. So when I saw that chocolate, I was like, okay, they've got me with chocolate for 3 months in a row. I am revolting on this one, and I'm going to make a tobacco out of it.
Oh, it's really good.
rules be damned.
Yeah, that one.
Rules be damned.
That
There's
one was really
chocolate and there's
tasty.
caramel in there.
It
It's
was like a
not.
late night snack,
Yeah.
It's my show. I can do what I want.
I could see what I want. So I was inspired by it. Artists are inspired. They don't come out. I mean, I paint, right? And I'll look at the sunrise and I'll be like, or a sunset, and I'll be like, oh, I like those colors. And I'll make a mental note of those colors. When I come home, I'm not painting that sunset. I'm painting something inspired by it with those colors.
Sure. Creative, what is that? Artistic freedom.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, speaking of artistic freedom, I probably won't be using any for this next cycle of flavors. I'm really excited for the next profiles. The first next week is the one I picked. It was submitted by Joshua Hatfield. And funny enough, I've started kind of tinkering in my head, or like theory crafting. And I think I'm going to use a little bit of inspiration from one of Fresh's older donut mixes for this. So James is putting it on the screen now.
Oh, it's a little donut round with like pistachios or something on it, huh?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
And it just his Kanako, no, his koi holes, I think is
Yeah, the koi hole. Oh.
Yeah, that mix immediately came to mind, and I'm like, I have got to use Kanako soy in this.
Yeah, that's gonna be nice. Throw a little avocado in it, just cause.
Just cause.
Yeah.
This next month, it's got some really exciting, good stuff going on.
Mm.
Yeah,
you guys all like. I tend to, or I try not to like every picture and only like the pictures that I really want to mix. But I kept finding myself every time somebody would submit a new picture this month, I'm like, gosh dang it, I like that one too. I like that one too. So when I had to pick just one, I'm like secretly like, please, someone pick this. Someone pick this. There's so many good looking ones. So
Yeah.
well, guys, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate having the feedback and you guys taking the time out of your busy day to have fun and talk with us. We really appreciate it.
Always
a pleasure. Always a pleasure when I get to come on.
Thank you, ladies, so much.
And thank you to our viewers for coming in on Valentine's Day and taking some time away from whatever it was you were doing before you got here. And let's thank our sponsors. Let's try to get out of here a little early and get everybody some time to spend the rest of their afternoon doing.
Go back to your Valentine's Day dinners.
Yeah. All right, Flavor. Oh, wait, before you do, though, if you like what we do and you want to support us in a fun, tasty way, there's a couple places you can do that. First off is flavorjungle.com. The Mixin, for some reason, it's MIXINVIXENS of flavorjungle.com. We have one shot there. But then DIYflavorchaser.com and Zippy is in the chat. She just put up the link. We've got one shot there as well. And over at Bull City Flavors, we have recipe packs. Jennifer and I think have recipe packs there. So if you want to get some discount on flavors and have a tasty recipe that, something that that you can use with those flavors, we would love the support. And of course, there are lots of other good mixers in the community that you can check out too and support that way as well. So thank you so much to our sponsors, Flavora and Bull City. Wayne, thank you for putting us on your podcast network so more people can catch us and enjoy us. We'll see you all next week. Have a good night.
Good night.